ceremony showcasing British history, culture and contemporary politics to large crowds and television viewers. The state opening of the UK Parliament is an extravagant event that includes a grand carriage procession that we just saw a short while ago. The Queen, of course, arriving shortly here, a particularly heavy crown. In fact, the official uniform used for the ceremony cost the British taxpayers almost £12,000 this year. The ceremony has existed in its current form since 1852. And the Palace of Westminster was rebuilt after the 1834 fire. And while the UK government has said that the Queen's speech will focus on measures to help the UK prosper after the Brexit, along with plans to end the free movement to EU citizens, the Queen there arriving at Westminster.
My Lords, pray be seated.
All right, that is of course the session that is about to start and introduce the new session of the UK Parliament. And this of course is to the Queen Elizabeth II will be starting her speech very soon from now, which will of course officially begin this session of Parliament. And this comes with big expectations, as the Prime Minister and his team of course will be setting
Mr.
the
Speaker,
agenda.
The Queen commands
speech.
this honourable House to attend Her Majesty immediately in the House of Peers.
No.
I don't know.
So there we have it, the British Parliament, they're reopening at the request of the Prime Minister Boris Johnson, and of course Queen Elizabeth is going to be addressing the nation to outline the government's legislative agenda in a short while from now. She's already arrived inside Parliament, and this will be the first time since Boris Johnson took office in July. A new session of Parliament begins today with Queen Elizabeth's speech, where she will set out, as we said, the government's agenda. This is a tricky time for the government, and all eyes will be what that speech really tells about the plan for exiting the European Union. The Queen will read the Prime Minister Boris Johnson's plan just after 11:30 a.m. Local time, which is just about a few minutes from now. And lawmakers will then debate the contents of this for the next few days before holding a vote on the agenda. So the Queen gives a speech that is, of course, the Prime Minister's agenda for the legislation. Then, of course, over the next couple of days, there is a debate on the contents of that speech before holding a final vote on the agenda. This has been a very, very difficult time for the UK. It seems multiple changes at the top. Boris Johnson, of course, the latest Prime Minister, vowing to get out of the European Union as soon as possible, saying that the deadline is the 31st of October and that Britain will not wait any further to exit the European Union. And it comes after, of course, Johnson tried in September to suspend Parliament for 5 weeks before the UK's highest court unanimously ruled that it was unlawful, void and of no effect.
My Lords and members of the House of Commons, my government's priority has always been to secure the United Kingdom's departure from the European Union on the 31st of October. My government intends to work towards a new partnership with the European Union based on free trade and friendly cooperation. My ministers will work to implement new regimes for fisheries, agriculture and trade, seizing the opportunities that arise from leaving the European Union. An immigration bill ending free movement will lay the foundation for a fair, modern and global immigration system. My government remains committed to ensuring that resident European citizens who have built their lives in and contributed so much to the United Kingdom have the right to remain. The bill will include measures that reinforce this commitment. Steps will be taken to provide certainty, stability, and new opportunities for the financial services and legal sectors. My government's new economic plan will be underpinned by a responsible fiscal strategy, investing in economic growth while maintaining the sustainability of the public finances. Measures will be brought forward to support and strengthen the National Health Service, its workforce and resources, enabling it to deliver the highest quality care. New laws will be taken forward to help implement the National Health Service's long-term plan in England and to establish an independent body to investigate serious healthcare incidents. My government will bring forward proposals to reform adult social care in England to ensure dignity in old age. My ministers will continue work to reform the Mental Health Act to improve respect for and care of those receiving treatment. My government is committed to addressing violent crime and to strengthening public confidence in the criminal justice system. New sentencing laws will see that the most serious offenders spend longer in custody to reflect better the severity of their crimes. Measures will be introduced to improve the justice system's response to foreign national offenders. My government will work to improve safety and security in prisons and to strengthen the rehabilitation of offenders. Proposals will be brought forward to ensure that victims receive the support they need and the justice they deserve. Laws will be introduced to ensure that the parole system recognises the pain to victims and their families caused by offenders refusing to disclose information relating to their crimes. A new duty will be placed on public sector bodies, ensuring they work together to address serious violence. Police officers will be provided with the protections they need to keep the population safe. They will also be awarded the power to arrest individuals who are wanted by trusted international partners. My government will bring forward measures to protect individuals, families, and their homes. Legislation will transform the approach of the justice system and other agencies to victims of domestic abuse and minimise the impact of divorce, particularly on children. My ministers will continue to develop proposals to improve internet safety and will bring forward laws to implement new building safety standards. My ministers will ensure that all young people have access to an excellent education, unlocking their full potential and preparing them for the world of work. My government will take steps to make work fairer, introducing measures that will support those working hard. To help people plan for the future, measures will be brought forward to provide simpler oversight of pension savings. To protect people's savings for later life, new laws will provide greater powers to tackle irresponsible management of private pension schemes. To ensure that the benefits of a prospering economy reach every corner of the United Kingdom, my ministers will bring forward a national infrastructure strategy. This will set out a long-term vision to improve the nation's digital, transport and energy infrastructure. New legislation will help accelerate the delivery of fast, reliable and secure broadband networks to millions of homes. An aviation bill will provide for the effective and efficient management of the United Kingdom's airspace. Proposals on railway reform will be brought forward. A white paper will be published to set out my government's ambitions for unleashing regional potential in England and to enable decisions that affect local people to be made at a local level. My government is committed to establishing the United Kingdom as a world leader in scientific capability and space technology. Increased investment in science will be complemented by the development of a new funding agency, a more open visa system, and an ambitious national space strategy. My ministers remain committed to protecting and improving the environment for future generations. For the first time, environmental principles will be enshrined in law. Measures will be introduced to improve air and water quality, tackle plastic pollution, and restore habitats so plants and wildlife can thrive. Legislation will also create new legally binding environmental improvement targets. A new world-leading independent regulator will be established in statute to scrutinize environmental policy and law, investigate complaints, and take enforcement action. Proposals will also be brought forward to promote and protect the welfare of animals, including banning imports from trophy hunting. The integrity and prosperity of the Union that binds the four nations of the United Kingdom is of the utmost importance to my government. My ministers will bring forward measures to support citizens across all the nations of the United Kingdom. My government remains committed to working with all parties in Northern Ireland to support the return of devolved government and to address the legacy of the past. My government will take steps to protect the integrity of democracy and the electoral system in the United Kingdom. My government will continue to invest in our gallant armed forces. My ministers will honour the Armed Forces Covenant and the NATO commitment to spend at least 2% of national income on defence. As the United Kingdom leaves the European Union, my government will ensure that it continues to play a leading role in global affairs, defending its interests and promoting its values. My government will be at the forefront of efforts to solve the most complex international security issues. It will champion global free trade and work alongside international partners to solve the most pressing global challenges. It will prioritise tackling climate change and ensuring that all girls have access to 12 years of quality education. Members of the House of Commons, estimates for the public services will be laid before you. My Lords and members of the House of Commons, other measures will be laid before you. I pray that the blessing of Almighty God may rest upon your councils.
All right, with that, well, the new session of Parliament in the UK has begun with the Queen's speech, where Queen Elizabeth II has set out the government's legislative agenda at the very onset or the beginning of her speech. She said that our government will secure the departure of UK from the European Union by October 31st. The Prime Minister will work to deliver on this. So at the very start of that speech by the Queen, of course, there was the mention about Brexit and exiting the European Union, and over the course of the next couple of minutes, she spoke about bringing in an immigration bill to remove free movement between the three parts, between the UK, Ireland, and Scotland, and also that steps will be taken for financial services and business industry post-Brexit, and also talking about education and a long reference, of course, to climate change, and also saying for the first time there will be legislation on environment will be enshrined in law. There will be laws on water, environment, pollution, and we will champion global free trade. So as I said, that right at the beginning of her speech, she spoke about exiting the European Union and Brexit, and saying that the government will secure the departure of UK from the European Union by October 31st. The Prime Minister will work to deliver on this. And of course, all of this now comes after Boris Johnson tried in September to suspend Parliament for 5 weeks before the UK's highest court unanimously ruled that it was unlawful, void and of no effect. What happens next? Well, the contents of the Queen's speech now will be discussed bit by bit over the next couple of days within the UK Parliament, and then of course there will be a vote on the legislative agenda of this government. But of course, all of this coming at a crucial time for Boris Johnson. They're exiting. He looked on very carefully as the Queen spoke. It was a short speech, and in the backdrop of this, of course, the pound fell at the beginning of a crucial week for Brexit. Remember, by the end of this month, Boris Johnson has vowed to exit the European Union. We don't know how he's going to get that through Parliament as well, and this legislative agenda will be discussed bit by bit by lawmakers in Parliament. And as I said, the market's sentiment has been really down and out in the UK. There's been a lot of confusion about what happens if Britain leaves the European Union without a deal. What will happen to industry and the economy of the United Kingdom? And going forward, this is a crucial week as discussions will be taking place about what happens next for Brexit. So that was the opening statement for Parliament against the backdrop of all the political turmoil we've seen over Brexit.